Hey everyone, Zaniverse here. I realized that this is a video that I don't usually make as it's not really my thing, but when I started looking into the subject, I just had to make a video about it. If you've been subscribed to my channel for a while, you probably know that on occasion, I gather a group of people to make a big video covering a big set of games. And as such, I'm always on the lookout for people that I can reach out to for potential collaborations in the future. And that is how the story started, on my YouTube homepage, where I got a video suggested to me, how Payday 3 lost 99% of players forever. At first, I didn't see anything suspicious about this video. I watched for a few minutes, it's cleanly edited, well spoken and decently written. So I clicked on his channel, and then I saw the first red flag. This output is, well, to be frank, insane. Almost inhuman. On average, Nelvox, this alleged one-man army who seemingly just has a MacBook to work with, researches, writes, voices, and edits a 30 to 40 minute video in round about 3 days. That's 10 to 15 minutes of completed video a day, every single day. So, I began scrolling through the comments, looking for someone that might have caught on to what Nelvox was doing. There must be at least one comment mentioning the use of tools, or AI. This should be a given, especially with how eager he is to plaster his human-made proof all over his entire channel. I mean, why would someone be running preemptive damage control if they've never gotten any comments asking them about using or accusing them of being AI? But after scrolling through many comments, I couldn't find a single mention of AI usage anywhere. So I decided to leave one myself on his now unlisted channel trailer, curious as to why it's unlisted. The prompts were your thumbnails, made by hand too, and that was that. I closed the tab and got back to playing 007 First Light, but it kept sitting in the back of my mind for a few hours, and then days. Rent-free, one might say. So I decided to start doing a little bit of digging into this channel. Look at that, it's gained 3,000 subscribers in the last 72 hours, and still no comments mentioning AI anywhere. The typical YouTube video essay is made up of 4 components, each taking a vastly different amount of work, time and effort. The first part of this is of course the writing, and the hours of research that comes with creating scripts this deep and verbosely dense. Step 2 is then doing all the voice work, reading out the script until you're satisfied with it, and then tweaking the audio to make sure it sounds the best it possibly could. Step 3 is the bulk of the hours you'll need, the editing. For me personally, a minute of video can range anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes of work to get it finalized, depending on how much stuff I want to add on screen and how accurate I want the footage to be in regards to what I'm actively speaking about. And then the final 4th step is creating an attractive thumbnail that people will want to click on. Let's take a look at my Borderlands 4 review from round about 8 months ago. It's a 35-minute video, which took me, funnily enough, about 35 hours to write, according to Word's handy little documents info. Then I'd say it was another 60 hours to fully edit, and then about 90 more hours to get all the footage. So I want to say this video took me about 200 hours to make this one singular video, or 8.3 days of continuous 24-hour work. Keep in mind that this particular script was a lot more opinions than actual telling of factual events, and thus took less time to research than the average Nelvox video would take. I'm telling you all of this because I realize the average YouTube viewer probably doesn't know how much time actually goes into video creation, and that's exactly why Nelvox can get away with what he is doing. The average viewer simply doesn't know any better. And why would they doubt someone who adamantly swears that they're working hard while plastering this paper-thin proof all over their channel?
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
At this point, I also decided to hit up some friends about this channel and see what their thoughts were on the matter, but you'll hear from them later in the video. Also to note, if you now check the comments on this channel trailer, you can't see mine anywhere. How strange. So, we'll start with what's easiest to prove as being AI generated. The thumbnails. At first glance, they look clean, sleek, and professionally made. Especially if we're to believe our guy's story of, quote, being in the industry for decades, despite not sounding a day over 25. That being said, all of these thumbnails have a certain air to them, a certain je ne sais quoi, that they're not quite human-made. I mean, the biggest tell for me is that, why would anyone bother to remake this blue grid plus graph background for every single video, especially when these are all part of a single continuous series, all pertaining to the same type of analysis. So I began looking a little bit closer and started analyzing them one by one. At first, I couldn't really find anything that really raised my eyebrows until I got to the Sims 4 thumbnail, and these invoices, particularly the text on them, looked a little off. That's a thing with AI, you can ask it to generate literally anything, but it will woefully struggle to visualize a string of words on the screen, despite how hard you might try. Another example, in his Slate Aspire 2 thumbnail, on this particular die, there's 2 2s on it, which seems like such a strange oversight by someone that allegedly cares so much about the fine details of everything. So either this is a custom-made asset in which he mistakenly added 2 2s and then didn't bother to fix it, or whatever AI he used to generate this thumbnail made the mistake, and he figured it wasn't worth trying to fix, even by hand, as he thought most people wouldn't look this close. And yeah, what you just saw in the background was me fixing it in about 10 seconds of work. And then we've got this masterpiece here. And good god, what fucking monstrosity is that? That's not even anything close to a gun. Editor's note, he's since bothered to change this thumbnail for this one instead. He must have gotten a few comments about just how awful this one looked. Still couldn't be bothered to fix the text though. And the game's logo also completely changed for some reason. Almost like he's really got no creative control over what his AI actually spits back out at him. But then I realized I could use his own weapons against him by just throwing all of his thumbnails into an AI detector, and let me tell you, you won't be able to guess what happened next. They all got flagged as overwhelmingly likely to be generated by an AI tool. Every single one. Curious. But Zaniverse, what if it's just this one particular website that happens to have a problem with Nelvox's thumbnails? Well, how about I try a few more sites? How about Deep AI? Oh, well, what about Quillbots? Huh, shit. Maybe was it AI? It does not matter which site I'd use, it would always give me the exact same answer. And in the words of ChatGPT, nice catch, that's not just a coincidence, that's a clear pattern. I can also tell you that these aren't just a string of false positives, because if I upload thumbnails from any other creator I want, it'll get marked as digitally edited, instead of AI generated. What's even crazier about this is that literally all of them get marked as AI. Take this one for example, from his Riot launched 2xKO, then fired half the team video. This is a thumbnail that would be so easy to make yourself. It is quite literally just 5 separate layers in a Photoshop file. The background, the character, the white text, the yellow box, and the black text. This would take even an inexperienced Photoshop user 10 minutes, and that's on the high end. I could slap this together in 5. What's even funnier is that the character image meant to represent Ari from the 2xKO video game is also an AI generated image. I guess there just weren't any pictures of her to find online for this thumbnail. Another dead giveaway that all of this is AI generated slop is this pixelated artifacting on these black backgrounds. Zoom in a bit and you'll see these strange cubic inconsistencies similar to AI generated fuck-ups. Yet our boy Nelvox couldn't even be bothered to fix this himself. Fuck, you could patch this up in MS Paint, but apparently even that's too much effort for this guy. What's even funnier is the following. My YouTube homepage has been absolutely on point during the making of this video. I got this random video by a guy called Noir Stealth recommended to me, and whoa, would you look at that. Don't this guy's thumbnails look a little similar to Nelvox's? Blue grid background, green and red chart, video essay detailing the rise and fall of a video game. So even as he's having an AI generate his thumbnails from scratch, he can't even visually conceptualize a layout in his mind without resorting to having to steal the base layout from a different, smaller creator. It's all so fucking slimy, man. And something tells me that if I were to take one of Noir's thumbnails, go to ChatGPT and ask it to make me a thumbnail in the same style for a game, let's say Payday 3, I'd get a result that's quite similar to Nelvox's entire catalog. Because this is the extent of the rigorous workflow he is boasting about to his entire audience on a daily basis, while in reality, it's nothing but lying and thieving from other hardworking creators. Now, let's move on to the second thing, voiceovers. But before I really dive into this part, let's hear from friend of the channel, MertKK.
I would say that it is AI. The first reason is because the thumbnails are obviously AI generated. Like, look at the Overwatch one for the most obvious example. The second one is that he posts on average one 10 to 40 minute video every 3 days, and I don't think he has the sub count to pay for a team to make that kind of rolling content. A 40-minute analysis video, in my experience, can take a week to write and several days of editing. Even if you're just editing random unrelated clips together, like slapping stuff in, it will take at least a day. But if you're using relevant clips that have to be timed alongside the things you're talking about, it'll take like 3 days to make a 40-minute video. Not to mention recording and cleaning up said recording. It's just, I don't think it's possible to make that kind of thing in that kind of time frame without a paid team. What's more is that they're getting longer as he goes on and more frequent, so more stuff is coming out more often. Number 3, the voiceover feels like an AI generated voiceover, mainly because the quality is like crisp studio quality. It could just be that this man knows his stuff and happened to get a very expensive high quality microphone, but I feel like everybody starts on YouTube with a shit mic at first. No 8,000 sub YouTuber is going to be investing in a £300 plus mic, surely. Also, his cadence is very strange and he emphasizes words in a robotic way. My final reason is that he has made a video about how he makes his videos, and he talks at length about how he definitely doesn't use AI whilst not showing any proof that he doesn't use AI. Only people who use AI do that.
Thanks, Mert. As she said, The voiceover feels like it's AI generated, purely because it sounds so clean. I've been doing this for close to 4 years now, and even I'm sometimes still annoyed at how chopped it sounds. Nelvox has left comments on his own channel, discussing his time as an editor for quote over a decade unquote. Yet this wouldn't require him to 1. Allegedly have a microphone that's this good, and 2. Be this well spoken and adept at doing voiceovers. I mean, the channel's based out of Singapore, and with him speaking in a very thick, posh British accent, it makes me all the more suspicious about literally any of his claims, even the whole being in the industry for decades one. Additionally, he refers to his uploads as docu-videos. This seems to be some sort of mistranslation, and is contrary to how his scripts never have any strange mishaps like this. Fuck, not even Moriarty sounds this pretentious, and he sounds like this.
My name is Moriarty, my YouTube channel is really cool.
I mean, his editing quite literally just boils down to dragging and dropping a bunch of pre-made assets onto his timeline, that you can also conveniently buy from him through his Patreon page for a small recurring fee of $15 a month. You can also get weekly photos of him editing in various in real life places on his MacBook, because he is very adamant about not using any AI anywhere on his channel at all. Motherfucker, even the damn banner is AI. Also take note of the fact that there's actually only been one real proof picture on his Patreon, 5 weeks ago, i.e. when he made the page to begin with. I guess it must not be making enough money for him to really care. At this point, I'm surprised he's not just AI generating these pictures as well. Another thing that adds to the unnaturalness of Nelvox's voiceovers is the fact that there's absolutely no signs of him being human. There's no mouth sounds, no breathing, and no emotion. Basically, no telltale signs of our guy being an actual person. I can validate my humanity by getting closer to the mic, or further away, or by making my voice go really low, or simply by going blah 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 into the mic, and that's that. But Nelvox can't, because the AI model literally won't fucking allow it. What's even funnier is that, if we're to believe Nelvox's whole videos made entirely by hand without any use of AI bit, he's also got this entirely different channel called Quiet Pluto, on which he puts out what are essentially bi-daily multi-hour videos discussing random things about space. So, how similar do Nelly and Quiet Pluto really sound?
Frozen into the polar caps and buried as ice under wide stretches of the surface. Starfield was supposed to be the successor to Bethesda's masterpiece, Skyrim, the open world.
Oh, that sounds like an exact fucking match to me. Or what's next? He just happens to have a twin brother that sounds exactly like him that also decided to start doing YouTube 3 months ago? But Quiet Pluto at least has the decency of marking his content as made with AI. Which, as per YouTube's own guidelines, means that they're probably making little to absolutely no ad revenue, which is exactly why Nelvox doesn't mark his content as AI, despite using just as much as Quiet Pluto, because the money is the only reason he's doing any of this. But if we're to believe Nelvox's story about being a real human boy, he's hard at work all day every day. 30-minute video essay on Nelvox every 3 to 4 days, and a 2-hour documentary on Quiet Pluto every other day as well. Or well, I say guy, but I really should be calling him a voice model, no? It's funny that when I upload a segment of his voiceover, let's say from his channel trailer, ironically titled How a Nelvox Documentary is Handcrafted, I get told it's 100% likely to be AI generated. And then, when I go a step further to findaivoice.com, I can actually find the exact 11 Labs model that he's using on the channel.
It's not about what we have or what we achieve, but about how we experience it.
So, I can now safely say that at least half of the aspects of Nelvox's handcrafted documentaries are entirely done by AI, and I'd even argue that these two parts are the parts that require the least amount of work and time. Let's now move on to what is probably the hardest to prove as being made by AI, the scripts. Scripts and writing are the hardest to really prove as being made by AI, as there's so many little workarounds you can do. Of course, a standard AI script will have a lot of telltale signs of being AI. The analysis will be artificial and surface level at best, and it will repeat itself more than a few times. But all of this can be worked around by just chopping and changing some bits around, or by translating it to a different language and then back to English, which will funnily enough restructure quite a lot of the sentences. AI script detectors are also not entirely trustworthy. I mean, I can chuck a script of mine into 3 different detector sites and get 3 wildly different percentages of being AI. But again, I can disprove this by simply opening up the Word files on my computer and showing you the editing times on my script. It's also why Nelvox's only proof of his content being handmade are just Adobe Premiere editing timelines. No Photoshop files, no script documents. Hell, not even a microphone in sight. That's because, in all reality, they most likely do not exist. And if they do exist, they'll either be GPT chat logs or hastily slapped together Word files that don't have an editing time consistent with the length, detail, and depth of his videos. What he is most likely doing in order to write his scripts is googling a bunch of relevant articles by actual reputable outlets about whatever subject he happens to be covering for the next video, pasting them all into an AI text generator, and then having it string together a 30 to 45 minute script built from the carcasses of the journalists he's plagiarized. Additionally, I would argue that it's not far-fetched to say that someone who can't be bothered to actually make his own thumbnails or to actually record his own voiceovers will also not be bothered to actually write his own scripts, especially given with just how quickly he puts out new content onto his channel, because that's what all of this is really about for him. Putting out as much long-form content as possible in order to try and make as much money in the shortest span of time possible. But how good are his scripts really? Well, another buddy of mine, Chol, did a bit of a deep dive into Nelvox's Resident Evil Requiem video.
So none of the factual errors are too egregious, but they're definitely noticeable. The first thing I caught that is just factually wrong is when he says that the original version of RE9, which was called Biohazard Apocalypse internally, was scrapped 3 years into development. We first learned of Apocalypse publicly in the big Capcom data leak back in November 2020. And at that time, it was still in very early production. The director Koshi Nakanishi publicly stated that they scrapped the game at some point in 2021, which would match up with the couple clips of gameplay that they publicly showed of it last year, as those were very early prototypes made up entirely of assets from other existing RE games. Nakanishi also later stated that including the time spent on Apocalypse, Requiem was a 6-year project for him and his team. So as far as we know, development started in 2020, not 2019 as the video says. They also say that the pre-alpha footage was leaked, but this footage was released by Capcom themselves in a Vidoc, with the director talking about the process of working on it, and work on the project was scrapped in 2021, again coming directly from the mouth of the director, meaning that if we take his word for it, it was scrapped a little over 1 year in, not 3 years as the video states. And even then, the video states that development started in 2019, so 3 years of work would mean it was scrapped in 2022. Just a lot of little things that don't mean much on the surface, but have errors all over the place as soon as you start paying attention. In case that's not enough, the script also says that every Resident Evil game has always had zombies in it, when Resident Evils 4, 5, 7, and 8 were all missing them, and that's only the numbered titles that were missing them. And it also says that Grace has 2 guns at the start of Requiem when she only has 1.
This is the only video I've had bothered to do this for, but I'm sure that if I really began digging, you could actually find a lot more factually incorrect information scattered throughout his videos. Because this is the extent of his rigorous work ethic and researching abilities. It's him throwing 24 articles at an AI chatbot, and even when the AI trips up trying to juggle the articles and makes mistakes, he can't even be bothered to actually fact check anything. Anywho, this video has already taken up more of my time than I want to admit, and I've got actual real videos to make. 007 First Light review coming soon, lads, I swear. If we're to believe Nelvox's claims about being let go of his job, there's still almost no way he can feasibly gather all the footage he'd need for his videos in time, since he's almost certainly spending all of his time editing the next video so he can keep the gravy train rolling. Additionally, since he is jobless, there's also no way he could hypothetically financially afford to hire the team needed to push out rolling content like this at this fast of a pace, unless he's paying in pennies or is a literal millionaire. I know this because, on occasion, I have Sean edit the video for me, and he's got a pretty reasonable rate. This 17-minute video cost me $120, and I've got a pretty bog standard editing style, so none of the fancy graphics that Nelvox is using in his vids. Even on the low end, he would be paying editors at least $1,000 to pump out this much content. So he steals his footage, has AI write his scripts into his voiceovers, has AI make his thumbnails, poorly at that, all the while pretentiously claiming that he's working his ass off, moderating his comments section like it's 1940s Germany, and while lying to his entire viewer base. I know it's not his footage, because the aspect ratio constantly changes, and because it's almost the most neutral, unrelated footage ever. And for someone that claims to be so rigorous in his research, he sure doesn't seem bothered enough to put some credit on screen or in the description. So where is he getting all of his footage then? Now, this might surprise you, but yeah, he's stealing it. Here's him stealing United G's Halo Infinite footage. I know all the footage used in these videos is stolen. Why? Well, because the servers have been shut down, either for months or literal years. I don't really believe he just happened to have literal terabytes worth of footage sitting on his hard drives. Single player game footage is harder to prove as stolen, as there's no gamer tag I can use to search through YouTube with. But at this point, I don't believe there's a single second of self-recorded footage in any of his videos. And how could he record anything? The footage is so varied, showing gameplay for a multitude of games in almost every video. He doesn't even have the time to wait for them to download, due to his upload schedule being so strict. My oh my, I sure wonder how little of your catalog would be left up if everyone decided to start content IDing your stolen footage en masse. Even if you'd claim it is technically fair use. There's still a certain level of efficacy that we should uphold on this platform, but I think I've proven that being ethical is very fucking low on your list of priorities. Because that's the thing, he's put up this little Google document as proof that all of his stuff is made by hand, but an Adobe timeline actually doesn't prove anything. The only thing it shows is that yes, there isn't yet an AI tool that will fully edit a 30+ minute video for someone that's too lazy to make one himself. But I'm sure that there's some Silicon Valley startup out there specializing exactly in ruining that avenue of creative expression as well. This timeline fucking sucks, by the way. AI can already do every other thing in regards to video creation. And rest assured, should there ever be an Adobe plugin that will just edit videos for you, lazy fuckers like this will be first in line to pay a monthly subscription fee in order to pump out even more slop. Because that's what I'm really getting at. My main issue isn't the fact that he's using AI for his videos. Hell, I've asked AI to generate me a few titles for videos too. It's the fact that he's using AI so blatantly, all the while screaming that he's definitely not using AI on any aspect of his entire channel. What's funnier is that, since he started really gaining traction, he's been removing some of his older uploads from his channel, whether it's to leave more space between uploads to make it seem more realistic, or maybe it's because even he deems them to be below his standards for his sewer slop. Whether it's to leave more space between uploads to make it seem more realistic, or maybe because he figures they've gotten the majority of their views already, or maybe it's because he even deems them to be below his standards for his sewer slop. Whatever the reason may be, unfortunately for him, I've got the downloaded videos, thumbnails and Social Blade analytics to prove it. Funnily enough, 2 of the deleted videos were the ones directly criticizing the rise and overusage of AI. Wouldn't want to bite the hand that feeds you, huh? And that's the real issue. The more of these channels that manage to get a real foothold on the site, the more actual hardworking, creative people will be pushed to the sideline in order to satiate the masses' needs for mindless consumption. If you're a Nelvox viewer that stumbled across this video, thanks for making it this far into the video, first off. I'm not saying you're stupid because you've been watching and supporting someone using AI. You've been duped by a guy that knows very well how to manipulate and pretend to be something he's not. He's not an idiot, he's just lazy, which also explains why he thought banning me from his comment section was the end of this little adventure. I think James put it best in this message here.
This channel, and those like it, are becoming more and more pervasive in the long-form video space, a genre of video that if done well takes weeks to months to produce. This format is some of the most thoughtful and valuable on the platform because of how much precision it requires, and how varied each person's approach can be. To use AI, not even just as a crutch, which is one thing that is also bad, but to automate this entire meticulous process whilst feigning creative ownership is insulting to both actual creators and an especially thoughtful audience who deserves better. AI-generated slop TikToks and Instagram reels of fruit people cheating on their wives is one thing. I think we can all see that that's slop, but long-form AI slop is far worse because it's masquerading as meaningful, when in reality, it's the opposite. And as more and more pop up, it begins to dilute what we do, and it benefits nobody but the parasites that are leeching off of the hard work of others' research, writing, editing, and graphic design.
Finally, I'd like to end off this video by recommending some creators that do actually work hard to put up meaningful, interesting, and unique content. The people that lent me their voice to this video's creation. As well as any of the people that have ever participated in my April projects. Paulo Frost, Noir Stealth, Fuzzduff, Punchy, Ren's Reviews, Proxidist, Contrarian J, Long-Eared Fox, White Light, Audie Bell, Twigs, Westdust Games, and Blooms. The guy that gave me the idea to make a video like this. I've also linked to one of my favorite playlists ever in the description, which is essentially a collection of long-form videos made by literal thousands of different creators. There's plenty of good long-form analysis content out there on YouTube. You do not need to support a guy that is actively deceiving you and laughing at you while doing so. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, a comment, and subscribe, as this isn't really my usual content, but if you'd like to check out my long-form analysis videos, please do so. It would mean the world to me. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled uploads soon enough. As always, I've been Xeniverse, and I'm off to cover 007 First Light, a game in which one of the antagonists is, unironically, another AI. It's also poetic, isn't it?